Okay, so we've got, I don't know what this is, like a shopping cart nick. There's one right there, there, and there. Kind of goes like this. So we're just going to shine up this paint area. Just take any of the minor scratches and scuffs out of the area. Alright, so I just polished this area, so I just want to make sure that there's no polish residue left in any of the scratches here that I'm going to apply touch-up paint to. So I've got a suede microfiber. This is really gentle and won't scratch the surface. Some people will use one of those blue paper towels, shop towels. I prefer to use one of these. No sense inducing more surface scratches. Okay, so I've got a really small amount of paint poured off in a plastic cup here, because you never want to work from your main source of paint. You always want to keep it sealed up, and also this way, in case you spill something, you don't lose all your paint. So I'm just going to take a gloved finger, and I'm going to dab just a little bit of paint on the end here. You don't have to play with it. Just dab it a couple times, and that's it. So here's something I like to do. I've got a blue shop paper towel here, and just put a little bit of pre-cleaner on it. And the little bit that I had on my glove, I just clean it off and keep my gloves nice and clean. And this way you save your gloves. No sense throwing them away, because you're going to use it for, and these are good gloves. So there you go. So you have nice clean hands. Okay, so we've got the touch-up paint blob right there, one right there, and one right there. So we're going to take a large microfiber, it's a suede microfiber chamois, and just wrap it around the plastic backup card and just get it kind of tight like this. We'll put some of the leveler solution on. And you just want to do this as flat as possible. And you can see right away, it starts to pull the paint off. What you're doing is eroding the touch-up paint. And this will not affect the surface around it, the original paint. It's just going to erode that touch-up paint that you put on there. And all it will leave is the paint in the scratch itself. You can see how much paint it's removing already. Sometimes if you have a little bit of paint that you can see that's outside the scratch, you can just kind of come up and just kind of pull it off without actually going over the actual scrape that you want to keep the paint in. Kind of finesse it a little bit. Now we'll do this lower one here. You might have to move to another spot on the microfiber once it starts getting loaded up with a little bit of paint. I'll just flip this over and use another area that's not quite as loaded up with paint. Once it starts getting loaded up with paint, it just ultra suede, the suede material just can't pick up the paint any longer. Also, the suede is gentle, but it has a little bit of a cleaning action to it that actually helps pull that paint off with the solvent. Now at this point, we could, it just depends on when you stand back from this and then look at it, if the scratches, if you're happy with the result, you can just leave it as is. If you want to build up a little bit more paint, you could actually do another application of paint and then let it dry and then do the solvent leveling technique and just build it up just a little bit more. Sometimes if you have a little bit deeper scrape, it may take that. Sometimes shallow scrapes can be a little bit more difficult because they don't want to hold the paint as well as a deeper scrape. Now once you've removed the paint, and then all that's left is the paint and the actual scrapes itself, you just want to clean this with like a mild water-based cleaner. And the Ultimate Car Scratch Remover system actually has a spot cleaner. It's called Awesome Blue. It's just a mild water-based cleaner. And you want to use, also, after you've done this, you want to use a microfiber chamois, something that's not a regular microfiber, because a microfiber chamois here will not pull any of the paint, any of that fresh paint out while it's still kind of fragile. So this microfiber chamois is basically like something you would clean your glasses with. It's a really fine, gentle microfiber chamois. And that just cleans all the residue from the leveler off the paint. All right, so we got our touch-up paint repair done. We're going to apply evening glass glaze and then a sealant. So we've got evening glass glaze, the purple formula, and a blue microfiber towel. We've shaken the evening glass glaze up. Doesn't take very much at all. For this small of an area, it takes that much. Just a medium pressure. Doesn't take very much at all. The evening glass glaze does not take scratches out. It only takes the super microfine scratches that maybe the polish or the microfiber itself left. It's sometimes referred to as a pure polish. Okay, the glaze is done. Now the final thing is we're going to apply a paint sealant. This is Sacred Shine sealant and yellow microfiber towel. This takes the tiniest amount. We'll just work this into this whole area that's been repaired. Sometimes you can just do the whole panel just to blend it all in. Now we're going to let this haze just for a couple minutes for it to cure. Find a clean, fold over the towel on a clean quarter, and then you can take your finger, and when you wipe it and it comes off clean, it's ready to buff. And that's it. It's done. We've shaken up the touch-up paint, and then we just let it set like this on a flat surface for a minute or two, just so all the paint runs back into the jar and isn't hanging around on the lid when we open it up and make a big mess. And just take the lid off here. And then you've got one of your plastic cups to work from, and just pour a little bit in there. That's about all you need to work for most. You know, if you need a little bit more than that, but it's always better to work in little bits at a time. And then what I like to do, you can see how much is in there. It's not that much. And what I like to do is see on the threads here, it kind of dribbled on there. And just for the future, you know, so it's easier to get the cap off, I just take a little bit of pre-cleaner and squirt it on one of the industrial towels. And just wipe that off. Just keep the threads as clean as possible. We'll put the cap back on, and this just preserves your paint and also keeps it from getting knocked over or kicked over, and then you end up with a big mess on the garage floor. So then with your paint that you have in your little mixing cup here, then you'll just grab your touch-up paintbrush or whatever you decide, what method you decide to use, and go out to the car and do your touch-up paint repair.